Excellent. A little tweakage here. Very nice. Alright. So, what do you think? I think I want to like this for when I talk about horror movies, don't you? So, the topic of our movie today.
Dudes, welcome to the vidcast of March 30th, 2000.
Charles Band. My word, this man is everywhere these days. In case you don't know what the name is attached to, and likely you should, but you might not know everything he is attached to. He is now the head of Full Moon Entertainment, and has been for many years, although Full Moon has apparently finally gotten to its point of peak excellence in the latest couple of years, and has actually been quite stable and doing much better work than it did during the mid to the late 90s. But we're not here to talk about that, particularly right now. What you want to know is, what does Charles Band have to do with this? Well, Puppet Master 2 is yet another early 90s Full Moon Entertainment movie. Charles Band was responsible for most of these, as well as things like Troll, Reanimator, Ghoulies, and again, of course, this series, the Puppet Master movies. Also, in case you didn't know it, Charles Band has also been recently brought up on the internet, both by Obscurus Lupa during her Subspecies review. He was also brought up again by Horror Guru, a man I've crossed over with once, during his review of Ginger Dead Man. So, where to start with this one? I don't think it's Charles Band that we need to worry about the most with this film. I do believe he's only the producer for this one, so he did not have direct involvement with this, because there are a few minor problems with this film. But first, let's get the basics of the plot out of the way, shall we? In Puppet Master 2, we are treated to very light explanations as to why things are going the way they are. We are very, very quickly explained that the lead female from the last movie died after a few years, and that the lead male, who also survived, went crazy and is saying that there's something that happened out in that house. So a group of people from the government are sent out there to do investigations into the paranormal. Why the government is sanctioning these things, I'm not particularly sure, but hey, I'll go with you, 90s, wherever you want to go. We are treated to a redheaded woman who underacts until the point that she finds a very blatant love interest. Otherwise, the only person she really seems to emote to is her brother, who just generally tends to piss her off. The other main characters that we have out of this group are the two secondary male and female leads who just want to make out like rabbits, and a psychic woman. The psychic woman is generally an okay character in this one. She is a bit of a better actor than some of the other people that are involved in this thing. And there's also the side characters, the two farmers, who are also better actors. But minor roles all around, sadly. The psychic woman gets a premonition after apparently seeing two of the puppets, but not on camera, and believes that they are all in mortal danger if they stay in the hotel. She quickly then leaves. The others continue to watch the place, and when they horny couple finds out that one of the doors is suddenly open. They quickly investigate it by rewinding the tape and finding Tunneler, one of the puppets, to have actually opened the door and gone in. They quickly race to the guy's rescue, only for the redhead's brother to get Tunneler in his forehead before being thrown across the room and then crushed, and apparently actually stopping him, which is unusual for Puppet Master. Usually they just shrug it off and get back up. But there is a minor reason for this, which we'll explain in a little bit. Long story short, a couple of other people show up the next morning after this. I might also add that we give a little funeral scene in the kitchen. Not even kidding. Look at this scene. Yup. Anyway, we find out that there is a mummified guy who we already know has gotta be too long because we saw him being raised from the dead at the very beginning of the film. Spoilers! He is pretending to be someone else who has been granted the gift of owning the hotel, even though there is no paperwork for it, and he quote-unquote mistrusts paperwork. After he says that they can have the run of the place except for his personal room, another man shows up who is apparently the son of the now missing psychic. Yeah, she did not have a good run-in with the puppets. The redhead and him instantly hit it off for no particular reason whatsoever other than to have a forced little half-nude scene later on in the film. Enjoy that. So, the horny people are getting it on, the somewhat normal people are getting it on for no good reason. Too Long feels left out and plans to stick his puppets on everybody because he's collecting brains in order for some big experiment of his to be completed, as well as keep the puppets alive. Once all except for the last two people are killed off yet again, he finally decides that it's time to bring his big experiment to life. He's planning to put himself into a giant human-sized puppet, and to do the same to the redhead because she looks an awful lot like his dead wife. Ew. So, what's wrong with this film? The explanations as to how things happened and led up to this film are actually pretty weak. The, acting, if you can call it that in some cases, is very overactive. They seem to be very intent on chewing up the scenery, or seem to be bored with themselves. The guy who plays Too Long throughout most of this particular film is particularly annoying. The only times he's not completely slow and boring to listen to is when he's either the puppet or the original Too Long. However, most of his time is spent in the mummy-wrapped undead Too Long, and it's painful to listen to, even though you have to listen to him because half the plot is and background stuff is unveiled through him, including the fact that the puppets were apparently real people at one point. Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Also explained in this film for the first time is the fact that they use some sort of fluid. Although they are collecting brains in this particular film, I think it's mostly so that Too Long can actually enter that secondary puppet body. Because that's something that's never touched on in any of the sequels that I'm aware of. So a lot of the fluid is normally just average stuff that you can easily find, just that you have to have a willing host to put with the fluid if you're going to make a new puppet. Also, another question is raised by the fact that Too Long in this film is a particularly evil man, when in the first and the third films in particular, he's viewed as a very good person. I think the idea is that he's slightly decayed in his mind, so he's not all there. So, I can kind of excuse it in my own way, although I wish they would have explained it in film. But what about the good things about this film? You might be wondering. That's blatantly easy. All of these side minor characters are usually pretty good actors in this film, and are probably one of the bigger strong points for the actual human actors. Then there's, of course, the puppets. The puppets have always been the main theme for the films, and they've always been the main strength of it, because they can do anything from animatronics that look particularly well done, to extremely well done stop-motion animation, considering that this is direct-to-video movies. This is not anything that actually made it into theaters. Although there is one point where it does show the fact that it was direct-to-video, this particular scene. And yes, you get this screen jitter the entire rest of the film, although thankfully it's only for the last 10 minutes or so. I have yet to see a copy that doesn't do that for some reason or another. I mean, even the digital copy I managed to find still did it. But I digress. The puppets, as usual, are the main huge strength behind this, even though we have a lot of background positioning going on here and there with really boring long talks. We at the same time have some very excellent scenes of the puppets, probably acting more human than they did in the previous film, and actually getting them a little more of a feel for the character of them. And I might also add that this film featured my favorite puppet. Ergo, I give you his scene.
Cool! Wow! You know who I am? I'm the big star of the movie. I'm Indiana, and this is the set. What do you think of me now? What happened to your hand? Cut it off? What time of day? So do something. I'm the director. Do what I say. Move! Can't you get up? Come on, do something. Now! Come on! Is that all you can do?
He burnt a child. But yes, they actually did have a real puppet that could shoot flames for about, I think they said 30 feet. So yeah, they went all the way with this sucker. He got a puppet that actually shot fire. That is freaking badass. Thank you. So overall, mediocre. Mediocre film at worst. Yes, some of the dialogue can get boring. Yes, some of the characters don't really act like normal human beings. But some of the other characters you can't help but to love. And the puppets themselves, which are the main purpose of the film, are still very strong and very prevalent in this. And they still come off as very cool. Henceforth, we cannot wait until the third installment, which I might actually add, I believe might actually be better than the first movie. So, until I get to that third movie, stay tuned. See you all later.